Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey and Weird. I've missed you. I am back tonight, kicking off my Everyday Weirdos series. And as those of you who have been listening and watching know, I'm totally still struggling with this weird camera thing. But I'm probably just going to look off this way because I have my good friend Pete coming back on tonight. I'm going to pull him in just a second. But thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me, Whiskey and Weird. Whether you're here tonight live or on YouTube or listening later, watching the replay, whatever, thanks for chiming in. I really appreciate it. If you're here tonight, please say hello and ask your questions. You can ask me, you can ask Pete. We're just going to hang out and chat and have a little fun. So hi, Sean, but I'm going to pull Mr. Pete in really quickly here, guys. Where are you?
Hello.
Hello there, Pete.
I didn't realize this was a show when you talk to weirdos. I'm so offended.
I kind of did. I keep that from you?
You certainly did. You know what? I'm being very stereotypical being Canadian at the moment because I'm very offended about the fact that you bring me on the show because I'm weird.
But you are, right? Like in all the beautiful and wonderful ways. Pete.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
I'm weird.
You are. You're so silly. You're such a silly guy. Anyway, I am gonna try this whiskey. What? Did you just say something to me?
I heard.
Oh, you heard the noise? Yes. So Sean says we're all weird here. So that's the whole point, right? Okay. We're all weird.
Okay.
Weird, crazy, and that's what I like. I like silly, crazy, weird people. So before I drank this whiskey, so today was the weirdest day. I felt like I had this I revisited old Lauren today, and I woke up this morning and I had coffee and I ate like 5 cookies with my coffee. Bad idea, because sugar is not my friend. And what I realized about myself is, well, I realized this a long time ago. So I don't eat a lot of sugar anymore because I am a sugar addict. And basically what sugar does to me is it totally unfilters, puts me on edge. And I lived most of my life that way. And today it was kind of like that. But here's the interesting turn of events. I feel like the edge that the sugar gave me today actually served me, because I was able to show up to a situation that I've been dealing with for a while with the edge that I needed, if that makes sense. But anyway, you might know what I'm talking about, Mr. Pete, but you might not. I don't know. But, it's been I was all over the place. I was a lunatic today, and sugar is just stupid. What does that to you? What was that?
I think I know what you're talking about, and it gave you balls of steel. That's what it did.
It did. But well, I already have those. They just came out, I suppose.
I don't know, but anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, but what's funny is, like, just on a more serious note about that, like, for my entire life, sugar was like my comfort, right? So I would eat it when I was happy. I would eat it when I was sad. And most of my life had kind of that unfiltered edge. And, but it didn't always feel very authentic to me. Like sometimes I have these experiences where I'm, like I can see myself behaving this way and I know it's not me. It's like it's really bizarre. So anyway, it served me well today. And yeah, sugar is, well, the sugar's not the devil, but it brings out the devil in me for sure. For sure. Right. Yeah. What brings out the devil in you, Pete?
The only thing that the only luxury I have in my life is tea. Not being stereotypical. So if I put more than 4 tea bags in my tea in my travel mug, I'm like on amphetamines for about 3 hours, and and that's it.
That's pretty funny, actually. And yes, very stereotypical of you to be drinking tea, isn't it?
I drink tea at noon with my scones.
But you know what? You've exercised a lot of your demons too. Like I've exercised the sugar demon for the most part, right? But yeah. So anyway, I have this whiskey that I'm going to try. My friend Jonas has tried it recently, and he mentioned it. It's called the Sexton. It is single malt. It's an Irish whiskey. Here, I'll hold it up so you can see it. It's a really cool bottle. I really like the bottle. So I'm going to give it a try. It's kind of a heavy bottle. So sorry, I know you can't enjoy this with me. Sorry. See, shut up.
Bye. Well, you drinking out of a straw.
I am. That's how I roll. No, I'm getting a little nose on it. Hold on.
Oh, I thought you were drinking it out of a straw. Like a BB cup.
Yeah. Isn't that how people drink whiskey? Out of a straw? Okay, this has a really lovely smell. It is a really lovely nose on it. I wonder, it has I didn't even look that much at it. It's got kind of a brandy. It smells quite lovely, actually. Like it was, maybe in some brandy casks or something before. I don't know, but ooh, it's a little weird to pour though. Color's pretty good. See that? Doesn't look quite like urine. Stop laughing at me, Pete. I know I'm an amateur at this. That's the whole point. Right? Haha. But so now don't laugh at this part. No straw here. Just one nostril at a time.
You're going to snort it. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Yep. How weird. I can't smell it out of that one. I know. What's your fault, Sean? My friend Sean says something is his fault. I missed it. Sorry, I'm really distracted. Just fair warning, everyone who's chiming in. I actually have been drinking whiskey for a little while already. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. So interesting nose on here. Like I said, it had to have been held in some other barrels. I'm going to have to look at this later when I can read it, because it's got something. It's a little fruity. There's a little toffee smell in there too. So are you ready for me to taste it, Pete? Are we ready to move on from this part?
Like, please, just drink it.
Okay. Hey, you didn't have to be on for this part. You know? Oh, it's really smooth. It does not have a lot of burn, which I like. It could be really dangerous. It's a good thing. I think it's only 80 proof, because this could be a little dangerous. It's not overly viscous either, which I like. I don't like really viscous whiskey. Yeah, that goes down pretty easily. We'll add that to the huge collection that I have that I may never drink all of it. I need to have a whiskey party or something. So anyway, those of you who are just chiming in, I just tried the Sexton single malt Irish whiskey. It was pretty good. So here's Sean. Okay, let's pull this up. This is my buddy Sean. He's bringing up the details about it for me. He does this all the time. Oh, it is sherry. I was thinking brandy. I'm getting this though. I'm getting better, right? That's a really look. We can't even see ourselves on here anymore.
Sean spelled whiskey wrong.
No, he didn't. He didn't spell it wrong. He spelled it correctly, because Irish whiskey is spelled with an E, as is American whiskey. Canadian and Scottish whiskey are spelled with just a Y. So it's correct, actually.
Yeah.
So there. Yeah, see, fruit. See, I told you fruit. I never get the oak, though. I know I don't. Thank you, Sean. You're so helpful. That's awesome. So I feel like, maybe I'm getting this. Maybe I'm figuring this shit out. I don't know. So someone else is on here watching us, and I'm curious who it is. It's always interesting to see these numbers up, and like there's certain people that are always commenting, like Sean. He's always here. But people are just watching us. You did a lesson. Can you see the comments, Pete?
No, I can't see nothing.
You can see me though. That's all that matters.
It would help if I clicked on the comment. But there we go. There's the comments.
Can you see him?
I can, yes.
Okay. Anyway, so what's new with you, Pete? Like you had your book out. What's new? Sorry. Go.
Work. No. So we a couple of things since the last time I spoke to you. We've started. Both Jason and myself have started another 2 books. One we started about 3 months ago, which is going to be a collection of stories and encounters from seasoned paranormal investigators. When I say paranormal investigators, it's going to be people from different realms of the paranormal. So we've got interviews with them, which we're collecting to a book, and we're going to be publishing that. It's kind of a unique, I don't think it's ever been done before, and the whole emphasis behind it is to just tell the stories of people that have actually experienced things themselves, that kind of thing. So
that's cool. That'll be pretty cool. I can't wait to read it.
And then the second book, which we're going to probably be starting later on this year, which is a subject that is very close to my own heart because I experienced myself, is about near-death experiences as well. So we've got there's a couple of people that I've encountered recently that have experienced similar things to me when I went into a coma and I almost died. So we're going to be doing a series of interviews probably later this year, if not early part of next year, and I'm going to start writing a book on that as well.
Are you willing to share a little bit of that with us, or are you going to save it for the book?
I will in a minute. I'm going to tell you what else I've been up to. So I've launched a new community paranormal YouTube channel, which I currently have, and I've asked you if you want to contribute to it as well. I currently have 8 different teams or different aspects of shows and stuff like that contributing to it on YouTube. So it's the channel's called I Want to Believe. It's out on. We've just started just a few weeks ago. We've already got, like I say, 8 people already contributing to it, and I'll probably have. In about 3 or 4 months, I'll probably have about 16 to 20 different teams, like Bigfoot hunters, UFOs, guys that make documentaries on UFOs, that kind of thing. Live feed from investigations as well, that kind of thing. So it's going to be a whole collage of different experiences, different interviews, documentaries, that kind of thing, all under one roof. The emphasis is because obviously there's loads of channels out there on YouTube and different, there's different teams that do it throughout the world, that kind of thing. I just thought, why don't we just do it all under one roof, and it will be, as a one-stop shop kind of thing. We've got, obviously in Canada at the moment, the restrictions are going to be, they're going to start lifting up probably at I think they're going to be lifting 27th of May. So I've probably got about 2 to 3 months worth of investigations to go to on that. Once that opens up as well, I've got some interesting residential cases that have built up. There's an old farmhouse in Merritt, which a woman's claiming demonic activity, which is so that should be interesting. And there's heritage sites as well, which just recently come on the map as well in around Kamloops area. So we've got that to look forward to as well. So yeah, busy times, and then work on top of that as well. So
right, yeah. Like, how do you fit that all in? So Pete, Sean has a question for you. I'm going to put it up on the screen, okay? I have a question, Pete. When you're thinking about a book, do you get the topic and then find experiences, or do you more have the experience and it triggers a book?
So the first book was based on my own experiences, and that came about through an interview with the publisher, and she was the one that was kind of pushing me to write chronicles of my own ventures. With the second book, it was more to do with I wanted to get a collection of stories together from all my friends that I know in the field and their experiences as well. So that's why I decided to do that. And then with the near-death experience, it was purely on the fact that when we were interviewing one of the ladies that was we were interviewing for the book, for this book, she brought up an incident with a near-death experience, and there was so much parallels in that, and we ended up taking it offline, and I was talking to her for about an hour and a half about what she went through and her kind of feelings and stuff like that, and it was just so close, like in relation to my encounters and the feelings we had and stuff like that, and it felt very close to my heart. So then Jason, we were talking about it next day with Jason, and Jason said, we should be approaching that as well, and we went to the publisher and they went, go for it. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. We actually I did a little bit of a show on near-death experience, of course, just kind of talking about what they're similar. So I'm really curious. I want to hear a little bit about that if you're willing. But first, how was so I actually haven't watched it yet. I have to get caught up. But on the web series, the Bigfoot stuff, how was that? Did you have fun with that? Was it worth it?
Episode 4 of the Bigfoot episode, I was actually finally on it this time. It was fun. We not a lot happened when we went out. We went out with Chris Bowes, who is is very good friends with Jason. Actually, Jason went to school with him. He's a local Aboriginal guy up in Kamloops, and he knows the area pretty well. So we went out and did a tour with him on some of the on one of the Aboriginal sites just north of Kamloops. So it was pretty good in that respect, and he went through the kind of correlation between what the First Nations believe in relation to what we believe in Bigfoot, if that makes sense. The manifestations, the shapeshifters and stuff like that, and the episode speaks well. All 4 episodes speaks very well to that, and it's more kind of the story about it, and obviously there's the investigation as well when we went out that one particular night, which nothing really happened in relation to Bigfoot experiences. But when I thought for laughs, I get the spirit box out and I turned it on, and the very first question that I said was anyone there? And it actually pulls through the frequency skip. And it actually paused, and there was like a bit of dead space, and it said, "Help me."
Wow.
And we got it on camera as well, and it was like, and like bearing in mind, we were like, honestly, you guys obviously in the States you have miles, in relation to here we have kilometers. We were probably about 3 to 4 miles in no man's land, and there was no, like, we were scanning through before, and there was 0 radio frequencies or anything like that, and that came through. And then I said, who is there? And the voice came through and said, Charlie. And
wow.
Then that's all we had for that whole time we was there. So that was interesting as well. It was fun. And we've got, hopefully next year as well, there's a few places, a few groups, Bigfoot hunting groups in BC that have kind of opened their doors to us as well. So obviously when COVID drops, we've got opportunity to go to other locations in BC to go and just go out and see what happens, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty fascinating. People don't think about that, when you're out in the woods and you're Bigfoot hunting. I don't know why it surprises people that you might actually catch a human voice out in the woods, because lots of people have died in the woods, right? And lots of people have walked there and done all that stuff.
It's because there's a lot of history around that area, more on the I can't really go too much into detail, but there's a lot of history there from the overlap of white settlers, like the pioneers that came over to Canada during the fur trade and stuff like that, and then there was between the white settlers and the First Nations that were there as well. It was all friendly and stuff like that. There was no war there or anything like that. But there's that overlap, and then basically the Aboriginal group, not Williams Gate, but the First Nation group took the land back. So it's they've got miles and miles of green space where it's potentially anything could have happened there in history, and
yeah, and I mean at any point in history, right? Like it could have been hundreds of years ago. It could have been 4 months ago. Who knows?
Well,
I mean, right?
I mean, Canada is not really that old in respect to the States, and it was probably, if there was anything that went on around there, it was probably about 150 years ago, the most.
Yeah, so, probably, I guess. Well, that part of Canada is East Coast Canada a little older though than like the United States, right?
Yeah, it's the East Coast dates back to the beginning, if not before Canada became before Canada became Canada. I can't remember the exact history, but the buildings over there date back to like the early 17th, early 18th century and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And there's still castles and forts over there and stuff like that. And there's still a heritage site there where when the Americans invaded when the Americans invaded Canada and they got fought back, and there was a big battle there. I can't remember exactly where it was. And then 24 hours later, the British set fire to the White House.
Really? Yeah. Wow. You damn British.
I know. Well, it British Canadian. It was more. It was British and Canadian, if that makes sense. It was like British white coats, red coat soldiers, whatever. I don't know.
I'm just messing with you. No, that's awesome.
You're English as well, so there you go.
What? No, I'm not.
You bloody well are, woman. You're born in England.
You just wish I was English. What? You don't like my American accent?
No.
I was thinking about that. I don't think the last time you were on, I how sometimes we've talked and I'll just start slipping into an accent because I'm talking to you and you're like, do you realize? But I probably have to have a little more whiskey for that. So I should keep drinking because that could be amusing when that happens. Right?
Any excuse.
What?
Any excuse, right?
Yeah. Any excuse to drink more whiskey? Well, not really. But this show is called Whiskey and Weird. So, I think I have permission. You stop being an ass. Okay. Can you tell me about, tell us a little bit about your near-death experience. I know I probably know a little bit of it, and I know you don't want to give too much away because you want people to read your book when it comes out, but.
No, no, don't read my book. No, I'm kidding. So, about 5 years ago was when my health started dramatically going downhill, and it was just over 3.5 years ago when I had my liver transplant, and then just before that, about 2 months before, was basically when my health got like to a critical stage when my doctor basically turned around and said to me he didn't know how long I had left to live and stuff like that. I went into 2 comas over the course of 2 weeks, and the first coma I was under for about 24 hours, and then the second I went down for about 36 hours, and they apparently at one point I flatlined, but then I came back up again, and I clearly remember like when I woke up, it was like that was the first thing I remembered. So I was in a white surrounding area, and there were people all around me, and it was like I was in the room, but I wasn't in the room. If that makes sense. But there was people surrounding me. I don't know if they're familiar or anything like that. And there was one guy there that was that basically said that you're not coming in yet. And
Sorry, someone's calling me. Go ahead.
I thought you were adding sound effects to my story.
That's hilarious.
Thanks. I was spilling my heart out to you, and
I'm so sorry. No, you keep going. Nobody ever freaking calls me. Okay, go ahead. You keep going.
So I was standing in front of this guy, and I wanted to go. I wanted to go to the other side, and I was adamant about it, and this guy was getting more and more agitated with me, and I was saying, no, I want to go now, and I want to go and see my mum and dad, and I want to see my sister as well, and he was like, no, and he got very forceful. He said, look, he goes, it's not your time yet, and he said that it's not now, and I was getting more and more angry as well, and but I had, like, the feeling I had at the time, I had no remorse about leaving my family behind, and that kind of made me feel guilty after, because I had that feeling that everything was okay, and I felt it felt natural that I was to go through that way, and it was the only thing that I should be doing, if that makes sense. And then I woke up, and that was it. And I woke up, I came out of a coma, and I was strapped to a bed, and because I kept pulling the IV out, and I lost my voice because they were trying to ram tubes down my throat and stuff like that. But I still remember it to this day. It's clear as anything, the experience I had, and it wasn't a dream. I know that much, and so it's just totally weird. Apparently, just before I woke up was about a couple of hours before was the time when I had like irregular heartbeats and stuff like that, and I actually went under for a little while as well, and they brought me back out.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Oh, we got some weird audio stuff happening. I think you hold on. Can you hear that? Ooh, there it stopped. Okay. So while you were telling your story, could you hear it? Stopped now that you're done. It was like this weird audio interference. And my sister's like, what's that jingling noise? And I'm like, it does sound like jingling, but it wasn't that.
It's Santa Claus.
It was just like it was
coming there, Santa.
You'll be able to hear it later, but what's weird is I feel like it was only happening while you were telling that story, because as soon as you stopped telling it, it went away. So I don't know.
Could it be my mic? Does it?
Yeah. It is. So it has this funny little sound. I don't even know how to describe it other than a jingling sound.
Have I set it?
When you're farther away from it, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
That's funny. That's crazy. I don't know that you ever actually shared that completely with me. Obviously I knew that you were that close to death, but that's pretty remarkable. And I think that I've done some reading about that stuff, and it is pretty common. I think the guilt and the aftermath that people have because they come out and realize I kind of wanted to go. Like it would have been easier, or
It was just at that time, and that was the hardest part. And it was only when I was talking about it to Angela, who the lady I was interviewing with. It was when she brought it up, and she said that she wanted to go, and it was like, holy crap! I just totally forgot all about it.
Mm-hmm. You've just forgot about the conversation.
No, I've got I can hear that ringing. Sorry.
Oh, you're distracted. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. There's all sorts of weird stuff happening. People calling me, and my X-Files ringtone playing in the background. But I guess that's appropriate. But yeah, that's a pretty crazy story about that. So that'll be fun. So not the story, they're not hearing about near-death experiences, for instance, but hearing the different versions. So your book, will it be similar to the other one where it'll kind of bring in other people and their experience, or is it just going to be, how are you picturing that book?
So I put a post out, because I'm admin on about 5 or 6 different pages, and I put an ad out just after we confirmed that we were going to write the book, and I've probably about 15 to 20 people that come forward with identical stories in relation to that. So we have a lot of content for the book. So it's just a matter of timing at the moment more than anything else, because it's just crazy busy at the moment more than anything else. So,
that's pretty cool, though. That'll be a pretty exciting thing to be happening. So, are you guys gonna do on the web series? You've done Bigfoot. I feel like I've seen Jason bring up UFO stuff, and of course, down here in the United States right now, that's all over the news. Yeah. Is this something you guys are thinking about checking out up there?
So Jason has recently acquired the Paranormal Network, and he does a lot of UFO documentaries on there. So he's big into the UFOs, as probably more than what he is like ghosts and stuff like that. So we're probably gonna look at something like that later this year. There's a guy in Vancouver who goes out and does UFO watching or something like that. And so he's going to invite us out for that as well. But what's cool about it is that we're going to try and do like the Bigfoot hunt and the UFO spotting both at the same time, because he has like a thermal camera on a drone.
Oh wow!
So it's like, you know, it's something that's going to be definitely interesting, and something that's going to be cool to do as well.
Yeah, that will be really cool. I really want to go. Have you ever been down to Mount Adams here in Washington State before?
No.
It's because that's a big hot spot for both Bigfoot and UFO stuff going on. Like, it's huge down here, and I'd love to go check that place out. But is that where are you guys going to go for that up in Canada?
Actually, one of the hot spots at the moment is North Vancouver, which is weird because it's right on the outskirts of the city. There's some places further north as well which are slightly, you know, off the beaten track. They're about 6 hours away that have had constant sightings up there, just outside of Williams Lake, and there's been like constant sightings up there as well. So there's definitely no shortage, and Bigfoot hunting as well here as well is, for some strange reason, the West Coast is overpopulated with, you know, accounts of, you know, witnesses apparently seeing or hearing that kind of thing going on, kind of thing. So.
It really is. I mean, even if you look at a map, it's all over the United States, of course, but definitely really highly saturated over here. And what do you think about, we talked about this one time on the show, because there are definitely people out there, a lot of people in Washington State with the military who suggest some kind of connection, some kind of awareness between the, at least the United States military, I would imagine probably the Canadian as well, and the saturation of that in this area. Have you ever thought about that?
Sorry, say that again.
Really, you're going to make me say all of that again?
Sorry, it's been a long day. I've been up since 4. Sorry.
I know. I'm just teasing you. So there's a lot of stories out there, or connections suggesting stories connecting the U.S. military and the fact that we have a lot of it on the West Coast, particularly in the Northwest, and their awareness and their connection to Bigfoot and understanding of that. And I'm just curious if you've ever thought about that, what your considerations would be.
I don't really see. I see familiarities on the West Coast more than obviously what we mentioned with, Bigfoot spotting and also UFO spotting as well. It's pretty predominant on the West Coast. The more north you go, in like the States as well, like the more you travel towards the Canadian border, there's a lot more sightings there. I don't, it doesn't seem to be kind of more of a military thing in Canada. It's more richer here in the First Nations traditions as well, like things like Bigfoot and stuff like that, as opposed to on the east side as well. So, and I guess, I can't really foresee why that would be, why that is really.
Well, I guess really here are the things that I've read, and we talked a little bit about are that the military, people who are serving here, completely believe in the presence. Like it's actually an active part of what certain parts of the military do here. And people who would absolutely confirm that they exist and that the U.S. government is aware of them and actually, knows where they are and maybe even what they're doing. I don't know. So
it's quite convenient that the U.S. government comes out with a statement of acknowledgement when they're halfway through a pandemic, don't you think?
Well, this wasn't a state. These are just people who've worked here there wasn't a statement by the military of acknowledgement, but people who have served who say, people who have served who said, yes, that's, they're fully aware of that and it's going on. Now, on a different note, there's a lot of statements coming out about UFOs right now. And we talked about that too. And like, is it real information or are they trying to, distract us from the truth, or are they really sharing the truth? That was also one of the conversations we had on here, because it seems really convenient that suddenly all of these things are coming out, and the Navy and the military and, the government are like, oh yeah, they're out there. As a matter of fact, today, someone shared an article on Facebook about the Catholics, acknowledging that aliens might be out there and what they're doing to get ready for it. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Even the Catholic community are coming out now.
I was like, oh, I left the church at the wrong time.
No, what's next? The Wiccans?
Witches are real.
I know they are, but it's like let's distract the media. What's going on, really?
Yeah, like what does that even mean that the Catholics are acknowledging that aliens might be real?
Oh.
I don't know. It makes me think of it makes me think of Mr. Marshall Applewhite and the Heaven's Gate cult, and his belief that we're all just we're all just aliens in meat suits, right? Like, did you know that about him? I talk about this on my tour, so I'm like become an expert about it. But, hold on 1 second. My sister says, what Catholics? I don't know, Jacqueline. I'm going to have to share that with you. Here, my friend Jonas has a little something to share. I'm going to pull it up on the screen 1 second. Once in desolation wilderness, couple hours dark hike, surprised to hear train whistles. Later, my hunting partner checked maps for nearby tracks, but nothing but one said it could be Sasquatch. Yeah, what do you know, Pete, about the kind of noises, the sounds and stuff that are known to be made by Sasquatch? Because there's thanks for the question, Jonas.
There's I don't know. I honestly, I know, I've been openly talking about in the show that, I'm going Sasquatch hunting and stuff like that. But the so-called evidence that I've heard over the years, there's a lot of, you can see through a lot of it. You could put it down to animals and stuff like that as well. There was one clip that I got from Chris Hose, the guy's Jason's friend, when he was just up north of Kamloops on the res. That there was you can hear wolves howling. And then there was like the wolves were howling at a certain level, and they're all, you could hear there was like 3 or 4 of them. And then at the end there was like this scream, like it was like an anguished scream at the end of it. It was just so, it wasn't parallel with the wolves at all. It was like, it sounded like a werewolf or something like that, but something really big. It was like, oh, like that, like a really like groan on it. That I've never, like I've done, you know, I've done a lot of camping, I've done a lot of bush trails and stuff like that throughout the world, and I've never heard that kind of noise before. I don't typically know what the characteristics would be, but there is things like they can hear, you know, you can hear like trees being beaten, but apparently that's supposed to be the call of the Sasquatch is that they throw rocks at trees. Mm-hmm. That kind of thing, and they're supposed to be attracted to things. One of the tests, one of the theories that we tested out in the show as well was baby crying as well. So we simulated that. We ramped up the volume in the truck with like baby crying and stuff like that. So there's various aspects of that, but I don't know deep enough about the subject for what could be the characteristics of a Bigfoot, because no one's actually proven that it was something that is not of, an animal or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we don't have any of it proven, but I will say what's that?
The same as ghosts and what other aspects of the paranormal. It's
it's all part of it. But I have heard of similar sounds being reported as possible Sasquatch. So loud whistling for sure is something that has been reported as possibly. And I think it comes down to kind of knowing your surroundings, as Jonas alluded to. Like they were out in the middle of nowhere and there weren't train tracks. So then you start asking what could make that sound, and narrowing it down. So yeah, you just never know. There's lots of weird noises that come out of the wilderness though, right? Yeah. You mentioned the baby crying thing. Have you gotten far enough in Hellier where they start talking about that in the cave, and they talk like, so that's a phenomenon that's not just exclusive to Bigfoot, but to all the weirdness that Hellier kind of, is touching on, with the goblins and going into caves and hearing like babies crying in really weird places. Some people associate it with the Fae, of course.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of mythology into that as well. So the when we actually cranked up the car with the baby crying, that was probably the most annoying sound that I've ever heard in my life, with this baby crying up full blast, and I could only stomach it for like a couple of minutes, and I told them to turn it off because it was so painful. But
so were you trying to annoy the hell out of the Bigfoot if it was close by? Is that what you're saying?
It seemed like a good idea at the time, but then after a little while, I was just like, no, please turn it off. It was getting painful.
What do you suppose is the logic behind that? What do you think would draw a Sasquatch to a baby crying? Do you think, one, is it because it can be a really grating noise sometimes, or do you think it is an indicator of a more nurturing aspect of these beings that people might not really see?
Well, obviously with a baby, there's if you hear a baby cry, there's, first of all, you kind of think, okay, if there is a tension from Bigfoot or Sasquatch on that there is some familiarities in the big to us as human beings, so that there is that possible crossover. Because like, if I don't want to sound funny, if you were like an alien on a new planet and you had no idea about the surroundings or anything like that, and you heard a baby cry, you're not going to, it's not going to attract you, is it? It's going to probably send you away more than anything else. So there might be, there's obviously that kind of connection in that respect somewhere along the lines, if they do exist. And then obviously, like what you say as well, there could be that empathic side where they hear, a baby cry, they think it's distress, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there is that huge or that there's a big belief around just the whole empathic ability, telepathic ability, all of that kind of stuff. I'm sure you've heard of it. You probably have an opinion, but they seem to be more evolved creatures than us. So it stands to reason in my mind that they would be connected in a really different way to each other, or even to us, right? Jonas just asked, "What's this Hellier place you spoke of?" So Hellier is in Kentucky, actually, Jonas. But there's a YouTube series. What do we call that? A docu-series? Is that what it would be called?
Yeah.
And I'll share it. I'll share it with you. I'll share it here on the page. But it's pretty fascinating. Speaking of that, how far have you gotten in that? Have you watched it all yet, Pete?
No, I haven't watched an episode since the last time we spoke about it.
Yeah, I've probably watched it a few times. It's pretty crazy. It's just all crazy, and hopefully a third season will come out. We'll see what happens, but they're just kind of playing along. But do you believe in goblins? So you kind of believe in Sasquatch. Do you believe that there could actually be weird goblin-y creatures living in the caves of the Appalachian Mountains?
You never say never. It's we, us as human beings, have little to no knowledge of what's going on around us half the time. So to turn around and say that goblins or fairies or any other kind of mythological creature didn't exist would be kind of sound and naive from my perspective, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, stories of all of these things exist throughout history as widely as stories about human beings. So there has to be a reason for that, right? Everything from the Fae to Sasquatch to, weird depictions of even goblins in caves. So it is, I think you and I share, we definitely come from different angles on this stuff, but we share that kind of openness. Like they're just things that deserve to be considered at the very least, right?
Yeah, like for me to just turn around and shake my head and laugh at people who say that, they go out Bigfoot hunting or they go out and look for fairies and stuff like that. Come on, it's it's a little bit shallow of me to do that, but I've had my own fair share of different experiences over my lifetime, and a lot of it I choose not to really share because of the fact that people might think I'm full of shit more than anything else, and there's a lot of things that I've experienced. I've had multiple witnesses that have been there at the same time as me. Not just so much ghosts and stuff like that, but like when we were camping when we were kids in the Surrey countryside, there was one particular spot every summer that there used to be these white orbs that used to manifest, and we'd watch it as kids, and we'd be in the middle of nowhere, and these balls would swing around, go up in the air, and then all of a sudden they just disappear and stuff like that. And it's all stuff that I experienced growing up and to where I am now, kind of thing. And we have little understanding about this planet in relation to what is actually going on, and that's what I feel anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And just for the record, you are full of shit, but that's a totally different story.
I lie. That's it. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I lie.
You're a liar. Liar. No, that's true. That's awesome. Well, does anybody who's listening, I know for a few minutes there was a bunch of people on, that has any questions for Mr. Pete Renn before we close, or for me, you can ask me questions too about anything. Whiskey's still good.
I can share my story about my transplant donor.
What's that? Oh, yes, you should share that. That's a great story. Do it. Okay,
so as I mentioned earlier, about 3.5 years ago, I had a liver transplant because of a rare genetic disease, and I had that in Vancouver, which is about 4 hours south to where I am in Kamloops. I live further north. And at that particular time, I got better, obviously, had my transplant, moved back to Kamloops, shuffled around a bit. About a year and a half ago, that's how long it took me. So roughly about 2 years after the transplant, it took me that long to write a letter to the donor's family, because it was a dead donor that I received the organ from. So I wrote a letter, and it was difficult, and I sent it to my transplant team. And a part of I don't know what it's like in the States or anything like that, but apparently in Canada, you can't ask them to get in contact with the donor's parents. Or the donor signers, whoever signed it off or anything like that. Apparently the only way that they can you guys can get in contact with each other is if they requested it. So I wrote a letter out, and I put my name and number on there, and which I shouldn't have done. So the transplant team phoned me up and said, "No, you can't do that." I said, "Okay, scrub it off." So sent a letter and didn't think anything of it. And when was it? It was about 3-4 months ago when because I called you, didn't I, as soon as it happened?
Yep.
About 3 to 4 months ago, I'm a construction manager for the local health authority in British Columbia, and I'm building a big hospital extension just here in Kamloops. And there was a consultant that came up from Vancouver, and he's friends of my old boss, and we were talking about my old boss because my old boss got fired, and he was saying, well, if David's here, we'll be going out and having beers and stuff like that. And I turned around and we started the conversation about, I wish I could go out for beers, but I've had a liver transplant. He's like, oh, I had a liver. He goes, liver transplant. He goes, I had a kidney transplant. So we're talking about the medication, and rejection drugs and side effects and stuff like that. So that kept us, chewing the conversation about 5-10 minutes. And then then we stopped and we were carrying on walking. And then all of a sudden he stopped in his tracks and he said, so when did you have your transplant? And I said that it was about 3 years ago. And he said, where did you have it? I said, in Vancouver General Hospital. And he said that that was about the same time when my son died. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I can't remember who I said it or he said it. He said, well, one of us said, well, wouldn't it be fun if I got your son's organ? And we're like, yeah. So we're walking around, and like the wheels turning around in my head, and I'm like, I wonder if I can, do some more digging on this. So I basically stopped him, and I said, look, did you ever receive a letter from any of the stepping back, he said that when his son died, his son died of a car accident in North Vancouver, and he was called to the hospital, and they were keeping him alive. And because he had the kidney transplant, he put his signature down to donate his son's organs. So they donated his son's liver, kidney, and heart. So that got donated and stuff like that. And there was a couple of other formalities as well in regard to his son's health that he got asked as well, but I'll come to that in a minute. So we were talking along, and he said that I received a letter, and I said that who sent you a letter? He said, I said, which organ was it? Which organ donor was it? Which organ recipient was it? And he said, he goes, I can't really remember. I said, but can you remember the letter? And honestly, he described the letter I wrote, the transplant family, to a T, like about the fact that I had a rare genetic disease, the fact I had 2 kids. There was a complication about TB, and there was just like a long list of things that I put in there, like very specific items, and he just read it off to me. So I'm like, so I'm just like totally blown away. And at that point, and like there was tears in my eyes, and I was getting really emotional about it. And I'm like, I need to take a step back, because like this is kind of a bit overwhelming. And I'm like, okay, there must be like a logical explanation behind it. There must be, lots of similarities between what happened here to perhaps other cases that happened in Vancouver area, because they have a lot of donors and stuff like that. So he said that I said, so what happened before, when you went to the hospital? He said, oh, I went to the hospital, and he goes, I signed a piece of paper, and he said the next day, he said, I got a phone call from the hospital asking me, and there was a physician that asked me whether they knew whether my son had TB. And I'm like, that's weird, because when I got the liver, that they suspected that there was that the guy may have had TB because there were like blemishes on the liver, and I had to go on like antibiotics on top of the other medication I was on for about 8 or 9 months. So there was that parallel as well, and then it just carried on like that, and I'm like, and it was like, I was just totally blown away. Then I spoke to my transplant nurse, like I got on the phone to her like the following day, and I said, like, I need to talk to you about this. But obviously they don't have that information either about the donor's family or anything like that. And I said, look, I need to get this out of my head. I said, like, how often do you have like liver transplants and stuff like that? And I explained the story to her in full. And she goes, I'm totally blown away. She said that, I'm pretty much certain that was the guy's, the donor's father who you met. And that's my story.
Yeah, that's really remarkable. Like, so then, then what are the odds, and why? Like, what? I think you and I talked about this a little bit. Like, oh my gosh, there's got to be a purpose here, right? That you would actually come across this person just in a completely different location, all of that. Like, do you still think about that, or are you just kind of accepting it and moving forward from there?
I'm very familiar with it because I still work with that guy now. He's a part of my consultant team for my other project as well. I'm probably going to be working with that guy until he retires. So we like, honestly, we have that connection. And it's something that I remember every day. And it's something that I hold close to my heart. And then after I spoke to my transplant nurse, I gave him a call, and I phoned him up and said, Greg, that, honestly, forgive my reaction yesterday when we were talking on site, because I was kind of taken back, and it's an emotional time. And I said that, I wanted to meet the family, like the father or the mother or whoever signed that document. And I said, now I came face to face with you. I said that by saying thank you doesn't seem enough. I said, you have no idea what, how appreciated I am of the respect that, you've given me a chance of a new life. And he was like, he goes, I feel it as well, because I had the same as well with my kidneys. So.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine there would be any words to convey that. But wow, thank you for sharing that story. Thank you for sharing your near-death experience too. Both pretty personal stories, but they make you remarkable. So, and weird. I mean, right?
Totally.
Weird in all the cool ways, which is what this show is about. The weird and the cool ways. So, anyway, thanks for coming on. Thanks for kicking off my Everyday Weirdos. You did me a solid right there.
Did I?
You did.
You didn't tell me I was coming on a weirdo show.
I know. I owe you. I owe you something. I don't know what, but yeah. So anyway,
I owe you a trip to Vancouver whale watching, and I will never forget that until once the borders open up.
That's right. Yeah, you do owe me that. And I'm waiting for the day when we go to Tombstone. You cannot forget me on that trip. I will be chasing you.
I'm driving past your house because it's going to be a road trip down to Arizona next time. I'm not flying anymore.
Hey, you're cool. You just swing by and pick me up, and we'll head on down, right?
There's a lot of people that are going to head down there as well. So it's going to be fun.
I bet, because everyone wants to go there, right? Yeah. I just met a guy recently who took his son there, and I was like so envious. He was asking me all these questions. I'm like, I wish I knew. I've never been. So anyway, someday. So see, what is it with all these weird noises happening? Is that your alarm going off?
That's my pacemaker.
You're not dying, are you?
No, it's my 8 o'clock alarm. I have to take my pills. So,
You're funny, Jonas. So Jonas just says that's a cool story, Renn. You need a best friend named Stimpy.
I haven't heard that one before.
I haven't, but I don't have that last name. Now don't we all have those stories about our names and the way people make jokes out about them? Anyway, thanks, my friend. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Keep being weird. I can't wait to see all the cool stuff coming out, and I'll share a link on the page again to the to your show. It's called We Want to Believe, by the way, anyone who wants to watch it. And it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool, unique approach to such things, actually. Go. You wanted to say something, Pete.
And my other channel, I Want to Believe.
Yes.
Just to chop. We Want to Believe and I Want to Believe.
Yeah, so both of them. So I will, but you mentioned that name. I don't think we ever mentioned the name of the other one this time. So I will post them all on my page. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to see you. It's good to talk to you. I hope you stay well, mister. Stay out of trouble.
Will do.
Right.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good night. And I will see you soon.